Sacking season in Sky Bet League One. 2 to tell you about, and we start at Stevenage 2, Luton 0. George, Stevenage top, Bloomfield sacked. Both 10 out of 10 talking points, I would suggest. How did the game go, and are Stevenage the best team in the world? Because 2.5 PPG through 10 games suggests so.
Yeah, they've solved football. No, let's... It's a magnificent result decided by 2 moments of real quality from 2 cracking players for Stevenage in Roberts, who came off the bench, who scored the second goal, benefiting from a kind of a knockdown or a ricochet, no matter kind of depending how you want to talk about it, or Chem Campbell, who profited from, is it a ricochet off Kemp or is it just a ball that he rolls to his right? I think it's probably a bit fortunate, but the finishes themselves for both were absolutely magnificent. In a game where very little had really happened in the first half of the game. In the second half, Nordas missed a massive chance. A very good save from Marshall in goal for Stevenage before those 2 chances from Stevenage meant that they won the game, and they are top of League One with the game in hand.
No Pidge as well in this one, injured in the last game. Clean sheet, all the same. All
the same, yeah. Caveated a little bit by saying their 17 goals have come from 10.5 expected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what happens when you score lovely goals from ricochets.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, Alex Ravel's doing an unbelievable job there. And, this was, off the back of a really strong start to the season, hosting Luton, a Luton side who they knew were vulnerable, and to restrict them for the most part and take their chances when it came and put themselves top of the league, it's a magnificent achievement, and an achievement which has seen a change of manager at their opponent.
Yeah, Luton have sacked Matt Bloomfield. The vibes have been really poor, particularly in the last few weeks. And I think I'm not that surprised, and I think a different manager is likely to do better if they make the right appointment. I think, as always, I would present some mitigating circumstances, and at a time where there's always a bit of a pile on against a manager and they're in a tough spot losing their job, I think it's fair to point to the fact that Bloomfield did a pretty good job after taking over last season. They weren't in a great spot. It wasn't terminal either. They had opportunities to stay up. In the last 10, 11 games, only Leeds and Burnley got more points than them in the Championship last season. So he did achieve some impressive results. And unfortunately, every other team in the Championship had also sacked their manager and also improved after bringing in a new manager. And so the tide rose, the water level rose, and Luton drowned into League One. But this season's been really poor. From the very first game against Wimbledon, where they won 1-0, an own goal, a freak own goal, really, and a poor performance, and a team that looked very clogged up in attack, in a league where budgets-wise, as a team still in receipt of parachute payments, squad quality-wise, not just in terms of individual quality throughout the pitch, but in depth, like one of the deepest squads I've probably ever seen at this level. But that can be a blessing and a curse, and I think Bloomfield has experienced the curse a bit, in that he has not been able to work out who to play, where to play them, and how to play, for Luton to be a promotion challenger or play at that level. And that's not really acceptable for a club who are, quite aside from Matt Bloomfield, who are in a state of spiral, in a state of desperation. How can you go from League One to the Premier League and back to League One again in the space of a few years with, broadly the same people in charge of the club? They're making a change of manager because they hope it's not down to them. But of course, there's no guarantee. I just think, again, you sometimes see managers get into a situation where it seems from the outside like they're under so much pressure and they're almost thinking too hard about what to do. And you can see it in their team selections and in basically round pegs in square holes. Here you had Makoso playing right back or right wing back. They've got one of those kind of lopsided 3 at the backs, 4 at the backs, one wide player goes high, one tucks in. So he was the right side of that defence. Not a right back, not someone that's going to provide you much going forward. And they should be a team that have fullbacks, wing backs in wide areas that provide something going forward. Cohen Bramall, left wing back, left wing in this game. Cohen Bramall's not going to be the left winger for a team that's challenging at the top of League One. They've got players who can play in those positions. And so they make a change. I don't know who they're going to turn to. There's some interesting names in the frame, and I guess we will react to the appointment when it's made. But unfortunately for Bloomfield, who had a really positive start to his managerial career, decent job at Col U, got him the job at Wycombe, where he was a legend as a player. It couldn't have gone much better. Got him a job in the Championship, and now he's been sacked by League One Luton, and I'm sure he will get another job. It'll be interesting to see where that is. Blackpool 0, Wimbledon 2, 4 wins in a row for Wimbledon. A bit like Stevenage, we're not going to focus too much on them because they're not the story in the end. Horsey still doing the horsey when he scores, and he did it twice here. Scoring from the spot, bit fortunate really for Wimbledon because that foul was absolutely committed outside the box. Penalty given because Ali Smith managed to land about 10 yards inside the box, long jump champion. And then the second one, a free kick, a big rhino header, great save and tapped in by Horsey. As cosy a win as you could expect Wimbledon to have away from home at Blackpool, because they're a much better side than this Blackpool side, who had 3 shots total, pot shots at best. Wimbledon very good defensively, as they always are, even without Lewis at the back, even without Stevens up front. I worried that when their core players, almost 10 players that have started every game so far this season, once they start getting hit by injuries, can they have the depth to continue the performance levels? They won comfortably here, and 7 wins already this season. Only Stevenage, Walsall and Swindon have won more games than them this season. But a pathetic display from their hosts, Blackpool, who probably behind Sheffield United are the most unimpressive team in the whole EFL so far this season. And George, 2 hours after full-time, Steve Bruce was sacked.
Yeah, and this is one of those managerial... I mean, I'd love to sit here and make a case why it's too early, but I think in this case, this had to happen for so many reasons. Like, the results have been terrible. The performances have been bad. The numbers are bad. The recruitment in the summer suggested ambition, suggested a really high spend. And when that happens, you're going to live and die by your, by the results. The defeat against Wimbledon, as you mentioned there, kind of sums it all up, basically, where they conceded a couple of goals. They only had 3 shots all game, totaling 0.09 expected goals, 2 of which were from miles outside the box. And when you look at the numbers, I know that people find, including Martin O'Neill, as we saw last week, really went after XG.
Great to hear from him, though.
Wow. But I know some people don't like it, and that's fine, and I understand why, and I understand in isolated events and whatever, fine. But I think when you're looking at managerial performance, even in like a short space of time, because we are judging, if you take Steve Bruce's job this season at a Blackpool, we are having to judge them off, how many games is it? 11 games, right? So, it's a small sample size whether you judge them by points or goals conceded or whatever else. It's always going to be a small sample size, so you've got to ignore that. And I think in expected goals, you at least have a measure of how good a manager is at getting his team to get into loads of dangerous areas, and how good his team are at stopping opposition from doing so. At the very least, like it's almost, I'd say, more useful from a managerial appraisal use than basically anything else at this stage, because at least you can see kind of what they're trying to do and how effective they are at doing it, regardless of finishing ability and goalkeeper ability or anything else. And Blackpool's underlying numbers are absolutely horrendous. Like, for them to be as bad as they've been, yet be overachieving from their attacking XG by over 2.5 goals is absolutely mad. Like, they've scored 10 goals this season from 7.42 expected. From a defensive perspective, it is in no way better at all. They have the 4th worst goals conceded this season. They've conceded 19 from 16.55, so 2.5. So basically, over attacking and defending have kind of leveled out. So there's no issue here. This isn't a case of like they've been incredibly unlucky. You then look at again, this is all, you can find this all at the Opta Analyst website, where they also have a segment about pressing and about the way that teams look to work out of possession. And Blackpool's PPDA is the highest in the whole league at 16.0. Again, there's no issue in that in itself. Like, Wimbledon's the second highest with 14.7. But when you consider the amount of spend that Blackpool made in the summer, when you consider the perceived quality within their squad, for them to be this passive out of possession with no benefit to their attacking or defensive exploits, it's, I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand what Bruce was doing. it's impossible to make any case for what kind of positive impact he was having tactically and in the way that they were approaching games and the way that he wanted to play. And there's no way the group of players should be doing as badly as they were. It's a shame because, I was pretty sceptical when he was appointed, but there were really good signs last season. And weirdly, last season, the numbers were pretty good under Bruce.
I think we got catfished by some good end of season attacking numbers in games that didn't have much riding on them.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, the good thing for Blackpool fans is that there are one out of work and one in work managers who would be great appointments. You've got Richie Wellens, and I'm sure Orient fans will be sitting here saying, why would Wellens leave us to go to Blackpool, which is understandable.
Leyton Orient fans sitting there saying, shut the hell up, mate.
Yeah. I don't think you need to might want to get Richie to shut up, I think, if you want someone to stop talking about how good a manager they are. And then Ian Evatt, who also doesn't like shutting up very much. But, obviously the way it ended at Bolton was really poor, but as ever, I think it's silly to completely rewrite a manager's competence based on a few bad months at the end of what was an incredibly good spell. But we're in an interesting moment, I think, in the EFL for managers where just quite a lot of good ones who you feel like are ready to take another job, like whether it's out of work managers like Evatt, whether it's Wellens, who I think will probably see last season as his best opportunity to get Orient into the Championship, and now will look for may want to look for another. Go into a club that have the financial clout in order to be seen as one of the likeliest teams to get out of League One. Whether it's Johnny Jackson, who has done incredibly well with FC Wimbledon this season and last season, and to an extent previously too. Dave Artell, who, when you consider the body of work that he's got, both at Crewe and now at Grimsby, has to be incredibly attractive given the style of football and the way that he is able to marry youth development with results. Matt Sadler, who, again, take out that bizarre chunk at the back end of last season, he's built two very, very strong Walsall teams. If you are working recruitment at Luton and at Blackpool, I guess Luton will have slight PTSD about looking at who's doing well in the league below and picking them after what's happened since they hired Bloomfield. But there are a lot of guys who, it feels to me, would be exciting appointments in terms of where their career could go, given what they've shown so far.
Indeed. Cardiff beat Leyton Orient 4-3, a crazy game, a real feast of football in which Callum Robinson put Cardiff 1-0 up with a really nice take. Aaron Connolly equalised for Leyton Orient after a Gabe Osho mistake, one of a couple in the first half, as Cardiff, in the words of Brian Barry Murphy, misinterpreted what was needed in this game. Dylan Lawler, go on, son, galloping forward from centre-back and scoring from the edge of the box. Poor keeping, you'd say, from Tommy Simkin. But Lawler's celebration in scoring his first goal for his boyhood club was infectious. And I wouldn't be surprised, I'm afraid, if Simkin gets dropped quite soon, because Richie Wellens doesn't tend to be that patient with underperforming goalkeepers, and I'm afraid it's getting to that point. El Miz scored sort of double deflection from the edge of the box for 2-2. The 3-2 goal was an insane finish from Ballard, where he used the wind to incredible effect, starting a left-footed curled shot about 15 yards outside the post and curling it into the top corner. Just a brilliant goal that could only have really been scored in those conditions. But from 3-2 up to 4-3 Cardiff, Ruben Colwill picking out big Josef Salek for 3-3, and then a lovely winner, Capacchio involved, Willock involved, a cutback to Callum Robinson to finish the scoring as he had started it. Really entertaining game. And interestingly, to your point, pre-game, Brian Barry Murphy said about Richie Wellens, I think he's been the best manager in League One by a distance from my point of view, pound for pound, what he's done.
Incredible sentence. I love that.
So there you go. Wellens is getting quite a lot of praise on this pod, and understandably so. Even with
weirdly a lot of praise, and we're also kind of going after his character as well. I said he needs to stop talking. You said he has no patience, so we're negging him a bit.
Well, last season,
hi Richie.
His lack of patience with goalkeepers early last season was basically the reason why Orient then became really good. Yeah. So not a criticism. And frankly, if I was a manager and I had a goalkeeper that wasn't saving shots as well as I wanted them to, I would drop them too.
And his own self-belief, a key reason why Orient are so good. So, it's all positive.
Although they're 18th in League One with 11 points from 11 games, so not actually going that well.
Great time to look for a new job.
Great time to spin the wheel. George, Huddersfield 1, Stockport 2.
Oh boy.
How about this for a stat? Stockport in 2025 have had a man sent off 3 times in the league. They've only won all 3 matches. Twice against Burton and now this one against Huddersfield.
Yeah, and they were the better team at 10-11, especially until they scored the second goal. And they were the better team in the first half too. They had loads of opportunities in the first half. And when the goal came, it was relatively controversial. Brad Hill's, his shirt is definitely being held. But yeah, like I kind of hate where we've got to now, where basically if a referee just sees that little pinch of shirt coming away from the body, it's just an immediate foul, even if it's having absolutely no impact on the player's attempt or ability to get near the ball. Either way, it was given. Nozza does what Nozza does and put it bottom right. Ollie Norwood was magnificent throughout the game here and was a big part of why Stockport were very good. Even after they were down to 10 men, it was a double yellow card, both shown early in the second half to Onyango, both relatively soft. Going to be accusations, I think, from Stockport fans that maybe the referee thought he might have given a soft one and decided, you know what,
even it up,
let's level it up. Probably not. I mean, I think the second one in particular does look to me like it's a yellow card. The Huddersfield player gets the right side of him, or gets the wrong side of him, and he brings him down. But either way, you know, there you're looking at Huddersfield, the home team, to come back against 10 men, show what they're about, you know, be the team to press home the numerical advantage. But Stockport missed a couple of decent chances. Diamond with one of them on the break, and when Bailey scored the goal, and it was a brilliant goal, doing what Bailey often does, cutting off the left hand side and bending it into top right hand corner, it was absolutely deserved for Stockport. Huddersfield then kind of threw a lot of men forward. Radulovic scored with a header from a set piece. It would have been very unfair on County had they not won this game. And County are, you know, for those who listen to Good Month, Bad Month, you'd have heard this already, but I'm not entirely sure what happened with Stockport to start the season. It was very weird. They finished last season so well. They look pretty good. It's not the first time, actually, to be fair, that we've seen Stockport start a season very slowly. But it felt like whatever happened at home park in that 4-2 defeat seems to have really instigated a massive improvement in them. They were unlucky not to beat Cardiff 1-0 in the game before with the late goal scuppering that. They were dominant at Rotherham in that 1-0 win. They were dominant against Reading in a 1-1 draw, and they were the much better team here. They are absolutely, to me, the team to look out for now in League One, because I think we're seeing them turn into the side that we thought they were going to be.
Lincoln 0, Exeter 1. This week's Sky Bet surprise. Exeter winning at Sincil Bank at 4-1, the biggest price winner on Sky Bet across the EFL this weekend. It was smash and grab. Kevin McDonald with an injury time winner. Pretty much completely against the run of play. What a legend, by the way, K-Mac is. I loved looking at his FB ref page. He got 9 goals and 6 assists in a season for Dundee when he was still a teenager, 08-09. He had some amazing seasons in his 20s for Wolves and for Fulham. He had a kidney transplant in 2020. Got a kidney from his brother. He was out the game for 18 months. Did he retire? No, he didn't. Now he's just adding nous and experience and leadership, and sometimes coming off the bench to win games for Exeter City. Before this weekend, Lincoln had converted the highest percentage of their shots in League One, a big reason why they're towards the top of the table. But also, opposition conversion rate against Lincoln was the second lowest behind Cardiff. So obviously, the way that football works, this was going to happen at some point. 16 shots for Lincoln, 3 on target, no goals. Exeter, 7 shots, 2 on target. K-Mac finding the corner, winning it for them. I mean, Lincoln had a Collins header off the line. Great work from McGuinness. Draper hit the post. Street and Collins drew good saves out of Whitworth. Both poor finishing, you have to say, but good positioning from Whitworth to block the shots. It was pretty much one-way traffic until that one attack where Aitchison and Briley were foraging down the left, and Kevin McDonald, whose first touch kind of put the ball behind him, but managed to reverse it into the near post unerringly from 20 yards. For Exeter, this is absolutely massive. They'd lost 4 in a row. It's the second time this season they've won an away game 1-0, just completely against the run of play. They did so at Wycombe as well. Their performances have to improve, Exeter, with 4 wins and 7 defeats in their 11 league games. But their away fans have been treated to one of those magnificent away days that you get in the EFL, beating Lincoln by a goal to 0. At 4-1 with Sky Bet. And Bolton were the other winners in League One. 2-1 against Peterborough. This one somewhat more expected and deserved, I would suggest. Cyrus Christie plays for Bolton, which I did not know until he assisted Mason Burstow for the first goal. But if he's fit, he should be a really nice addition to that Bolton defence and just the kind of squad composition. The second goal from Burstow is just so exciting. Like the run into the channel, the chop, inside the defender, and then the power in his left foot finish, weaker foot as well. Brilliant. He's on 7 goals now, top of the League One goal scorer charts. It's a league where we haven't had many great goal scorers other than Alfie May in the last few years, and there have been very few young goal scorers that have really been prolific at League One level. So I'm really excited about how Burstow's looking for Bolton this season. Obviously, the concern is he's on loan from Hull, and while they've got McBurney, who's the second top scorer in the Championship, they might be looking at Burstow and thinking like, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing to have that guy doing that for us. So hopefully Bolton are protected in January, but plenty of time till then for him to score more goals. I mean, you look at Bolton's squad. In midfield, Simons and Ehajon look great. They've got Morley and Sheehan on the bench if needed. They've got their front 4, which is clicking nicely, of Burstow with Force behind him, Gale and Cozier Dewberry out wide. They've got Sam Dalby, Sissoko and Randall on the bench as well. At some point, and you've been saying this a lot, but at some point, surely they're going to rattle off like 4 wins in a row and suddenly be in and around the automatics. As for Peterborough, yeah, this isn't the game to get hugely critical. Bolton are a very, very tough team to play against, and Kyoso's goal did make it look a bit more competitive, but 7 points from 11 games is just a horrendous return. They've conceded so many goals, and they've not scored very many, so lots of work for Posh to do. And there were so many draws, George, across League One. 2 of them in particular quite entertaining Desmonds.
Yeah, Wycombe hosted Barnsley. Mike Duff against his former club, where he had a season of success before moving on to Swansea. And Barnsley, the better team in the first half. Connor Taylor had a horrendous time at centre-back in the first half of Wycombe. He made a mistake on the ball early, which wasn't punished. And then again, Cleary, making his first start for Barnsley, picked his pocket and finished really well. Davis Keillor-Dunn scored just after half-time, and we probably thought that Barnsley were heading for a good away win under Conor Harrahan, but somehow it wasn't the case. Sam Bell finishing the far post with a couple of minutes to go. And then Alex Lowry scoring a very weird goal where I can't really work out the way that he strikes it. Like, it is a lovely caress finish in the bottom right-hand corner, but the way he hits it just makes me think it's a cross.
Right.
But either way, I mean,
puts it in an area.
Maybe he puts it in an area.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing to do. So, a big point for Wycombe. I think for Duff himself, he'd be delighted to have got it. And we also had a tool draw on, was it Thursday night? God, a long time ago this was, where Rotherham went into a 2-0 lead against Bradford. I wouldn't say they deserved it. Will Swan uncharacteristically missing a couple of really good opportunities before Hall got the first, who looks like a decent pickup for Rotherham, and then Sharif with a second, who looked very lively, to be fair, all game from an individual perspective, but more just really worried with how Rotherham look defensively. And this is the second time they've squandered a lead. They were beaten 2-1 last weekend, having gone 1-0 up, and then they were pegged back to 2-2 here. Sarcevic kind of chesting one in before Patterson finished after some good work from Cook, who came back into the side, albeit off the bench in the second half. Bradford will probably feel like they had no chances to win the game, but will be happy they came back from 2-0 down to get a point. For Rotherham, I'm not seeing many signs of improvement, and they still are a team that I'm pretty worried about.
I think they should work on defending balls over the top, which it looked like they'd never experienced one of those before.
I should say Cameron Dawson made some big saves. Without him, I think they probably lose the game.
Absolument. Caught my eye, Reyes Cleary in that Wycombe Barnsley game. His first start for Barnsley and a goal too. He got 6 goals, 3 assists with Hartlepool in the National League last season in 18 starts, second half of last season. Much vaunted youth career and now potentially starting to kick on at senior level with Barnsley. Could say similar things about Donnell McNeely. He showed some serious pace to set up Wycombe's first goal. He's a Chelsea youth player. He's got a lot of goals at youth level, and then left in the summer, pitched up at Forest on deadline day and was sent straight on loan to Wycombe. Had a decent one in the Carabao Cup the other day, and now an assist here. 4 other draws. Donny won, Burton won. Don't think many would have had Burton down for 4 points this week after losing 4-0 at home to Argyle last weekend. They went to Cardiff and won 1-0, and then they went to Donny and got a point. Now, they could have been 2 or 3 down because Molyneux was so wasteful. Even after Pearson put Doncaster ahead, they were still dominant for a period and should have gone further ahead. And then Burton just flew back into it. They had 2 off the line, 1 off the post. Poor Jake Beasley, ex-Geasley, is like genuinely cursed by that nickname. He has 3.6 non-penalty expected goals this season and no goals, just the 1 pen so far. But Webster with a brilliant through ball to Shade, running in behind to equalise. Webster standing out as usual. So great comeback from Burton, a good week, but a concerning second half, I'd say, for Donny. After 3 defeats in a row before this, they should have put that right, and they didn't. Argyle and Wigan drew 1-1. Laurent Tolai, all action involved as always, hitting the bar, winning a pen. Bit of manhandling from Amerson. Was it soft? Was it silly? It's one of them. Tolai panenkering it into the net, which I loved. And then Paul Mullin through to Fraser Murray to finish for the equaliser. Argyle's defence just more slow and sluggish than I'd want from a team trying to see out a 1-0 win, but a good point for Wigan. Reading and Mansfield drew 1-1. Rhys Oates setting up Tyler Roberts in the first half. Rhys Oates, great to see him back and fit. And he's doing what Rhys Oates does really notably, George, and that is, it's a phrase I don't actually know which is the right one.
Okay.
So you'll have to tell me.
Yeah.
He makes these like really long distance dribbles down the side. And is it lung busting or lung bursting runs?
Busting.
Yeah, lung busting runs. Well, RIP his lungs.
It's going to burst.
And he keeps
burst would be worse, wouldn't it?
Busting and bursting sounds pretty terminal either way.
Yeah, lung bust. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he's got more than 2 lungs because he's in trouble here. Setting up Roberts, Paddy Lane, Mr. Sitter, Mariah Welsh hit the bar for Mansfield, and then a masterful Marriott finish equalised for Reading. I think a lot of paper over a lot of cracks when it comes to Reading at the moment. Bad numbers, poor results, relatively hard fixture list so far, to be fair. But away games to come at Exeter and Cardiff, and then 3 home games back-to-back after that. Reading.
Lung busting.
Cool.
Defined as needing so much effort and energy that you have difficulty breathing, which I guess makes sense because it's kind of busts temporarily, because burst would be like, you're done.
Well, that's
no more lung.
That's medically, that's big issues.
Yes.
Panic stations.
So stick to busting, not bursting, please.
Port Vale 0, Northampton 0 was a match that happened in which Ross Fitzsimons continued his good form in nets for Northampton and saved him a point with a great save towards the end of the game.